taping this?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Okay. I'm about ready to give a talk at Clive, Iowa. It's hosted by Clive Library, right? Do a little talk, and then I'm gonna sign a few books and promote the sport I love, wrestling. So, I'm up.
You're up.
Back to it. We've we never really got away from it because I think we won 3 national titles this year. Community College, Grandview, Wartburg. Probably more in the other state, in the United States. I don't think any other one.
What's the saying?
It says in Iowa, that's a picture of our outline of our state. It says in Iowa, we wrestle. We wrestle. You know, on the back of it says the Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame. It says Cresco, Iowa, but we also have a Wrestling Hall of Fame in Waterloo, actually, called Gable Wrestling. But, you know, I'll take either one. Anytime you get a Hall of Fame in that state, you know, we're doing something pretty well. Just, you gotta keep it going well, and, you know, in Division I, we're a little bit down right now. I mean, by that I'm saying, I think we got a trophy last year, but the Braves told me they don't like these different odd-colored kind. You know, it's like when they gave me a statue in Carver. They said, you ought to be really proud we've given you this bronze statue. Bronze? No, I don't go for anything that's bronze. I really only want gold. So somehow we're gonna have to get that statue changed. Painted gold, you know, it didn't take much. But actually, they didn't change it, but I am waiting for that day. I'm not real happy about it, but I guess it means different. Nobody looks at it like it's third place. Mostly everybody looks at it like it's first place, I think, so I'm okay with it. I do have a vice. I might not drink it, but it's a Mountain Dew. Don't tell anybody. But I shouldn't have said that because in this book, 5 times I mention it. But 5 times I mention it as a reward after like maybe going through 100 guys in a row, you know, that type of thing. So I think I actually mentioned that after there's a chapter where I can't remember the name of it right now, but where it's just normal. That's the chapter. So I went and I taught 2 hours clinic in the morning. This is 1976. So I was 4 years after the gold medal. So 1976, I'm in Florida, and I go to a camp, and there's about 300 or 400 kids. I'm the only teacher, and so I teach the 2 hours. And then in the afternoon, we had a break, and then I teach the 2 hours. And then like I always did, I said, if anybody wants to go a takedown, you know, I'll go a takedown with you. And there was like 300, but only 100 lined up. So in about 60, 70 minutes, because I let them shoot on me a few times, kind of thing. Anyway, you know, I took them down. I got the takedown in an hour and 10 minutes. And, you know, I had to work a little bit after about 30, 40 minutes, even though it wasn't difficult. It was just, you know, wrestling's kind of a tough sport. And just the idea your heart starts going a little bit and your muscles work. So then there's this guy that wanted to meet me. So 2 hours, 4 hours on the mat, then I spent another hour and 15 minutes wrestling live with 100 kids. And so I was on the way to this event. I'm telling you one of the chapters, kind of. I stopped at the convenience store and got me, I don't think it was this big, because I don't usually order real big ones, but other people give them. So that's great. I won't run out then. But I stopped and got me like, you know, 12-ounce Dew, maybe a 16-ouncer. After that 100 takedowns, you know, it was like, I can use a Dew. And so I was just gonna go in to talk to the guy, and I figured I was pretty famished anyway, and so I needed that too. And so I walked into that complex. A guy named Arthur Jones. He invented a old company called Nautilus. I don't know if they have it anymore. Probably sold it, you know, that kind of thing. But he had just certain principles that he did. And I walked in there. He wanted to meet me. And it was him and another guy, and he said, Gable, yeah. He said, I want to push you through one of my training sessions. I said, I'm thinking, I just want to meet you. You just wanted to meet me. You're a pretty famous guy. Obviously, you think highly of me. Maybe he was going to give me to endorse your product or whatever, but I wasn't ready to, you know, I just 5 hours, 6 hours in the mat. You know, and since 100 takedowns, 1 due. And he goes, you know, he just was all fired up, put me through this workout. So I just, what am I going to do? Say no. I mean, I got to represent the sport of wrestling. You know, I didn't really know a whole lot about what he had in mind, but so he put me on. But for some reason, back in high school, I had this kid that used to read a lot of muscle magazines. I'm not sure if that was even there, but he had put me through these workouts a lot. My good friend, we trained together, and we did a lot of these things that I ended up doing when he put me through it. So he put me through the first machine. He did it, you know, and he hustled me to the second machine, hustled me to the third machine, hustled me to the fourth machine, and yeah, I'm doing them, and jumping to the next one, and you know, I was probably a little bit fatigued, but you know, I'm not going to show fatigue. I mean, all my life, you're not going to show my opponent any fatigue on the mat. I don't want to give him any edge at all whatsoever. Or when I was a coach, I tried to get that into my athletes as well. In fact, I'm the guy that has a statue it's a bronze one. But what am I doing? I'm in a position calling somebody for stalling. Guess who I was calling for stalling? My own athlete. You know why? Because I knew he could wrestle, and he wasn't wrestling. And so I needed help from the official. So I yelled to the official, call my guy for stalling. And boy, he comes over, he's refereeing, he goes, you calling your guy? I said, yeah. So he called my guy. Because he was stalling. He was getting beat, wasn't doing anything. So he called him for stalling. Whoa, the guy started wrestling. And I knew what he could do. I knew the guy could wrestle, he just needed some help. And so I got it. So anyway, got off track there. But anyway, so they're pushing me through. And I finished, half hour, 40 minutes, whatever, because he didn't have you rest between sets. Which is fine with me. I never did it anyway. So I trained. So I got done. These two guys are like, I said, hey, you know, good workout, thanks, I appreciate it, you know. And they were nice. I met Arthur Jones, famous guy. We had a good little talk. They never said much. Then all of a sudden they come out with an article that I was the only guy ever to go through that routine and not throw up. He said the only other guy that went through it, but he stopped and he hurled, he called it. But then when he said something to him, most everybody just walked out of the arena, or walked out of the room mad. This guy just wiped off puke and finished. But he puked, and I did. His name was Dick Buckets. One-armed guy. So we did finish it. So that's one of the chapters in the book. I don't know how I got out. I didn't plan that. I just thought about it. Somebody said something to me or something about what's going on. So anyway, that it's called Just Normal for me. It's a normal day for me. Going 6 hours on being on the mat, 5-6 hours, wrestling 100 guys, and then going through another workout, drinking a dew, and I'm fine. Heck, what the heck. So anyway, book one. As I walked in here tonight, there was a lady. Which one was it? That lady right there, librarian. Does she look like a librarian? Maybe. Good looking, whatever. But anyway, you walk in here and she goes, "You the author?" I look around. I'm looking for John Irving. I don't know if you know John Irving. Because John Irving is an author, and he wrestled a little bit. I'm a wrestler. I'm not an author. So I was looking for John. Actually, he's coming to town. They tried to get me to come over, which I'll probably will, but it's Halloween night. I got 12 grandkids. Got a wife that still does it. All my daughters, they're right there. So, but I think I got the clearance. We haven't been with John for a while. But so anyway, I was called an author, and here's the thing. First book, A Wrestling Life. Not very thick. Guy taped me 6 or 7 hours of tape verbally. So I talked. He asked me questions. I talked. Then he went back and he wrote it. Then he gave it to me and I rewrote it because I had to make sure that was my words, not just his words. He had my words, but he changed a lot of things, added some words I never heard of. I got the dictionary out and I said, "You know what? That's a nice word." But I never say that. I want it me. I don't want it you. You can correct some of the stuff, check for history, and do all that stuff. But I want my language in there. So I wrote it back in my language, and it came out. So the two biggest reviews, too short. Read it in a 2-hour plane ride. Well, that's fine, So he goes. The other review was well, there's more than that, but the other review that stuck with me was, well, you basically told a lot of things about, like, okay, so your high school coach gave you a key to the school, so you could go open the school up in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now you gotta remember, this is 1964. I'm 29, so add that up, figure it out. You know why I'm 29? Because I get on all the machines. I just come from one. Aspen. Yeah, I found an Aspen workout place here. You live around here? You know where it is? Because I got here at 3, I did a TV show. Did you see the TV show at 5 o'clock? You probably didn't see it. Some Channel 5 or something? So anyway, I went over to this, worked out over there and found that. And where was I going with this? So I went over there to work out. And, 29. So I got on that thing and I'm on some kind of a bike, and it says your age, your weight, and your heart rate and all that stuff. So I put 29. So then that makes me have to. Well, when I get done, then it always says the rankings: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down to 1,000 people or 100 people that did it. I'm always number 1 when I get done on that machine. So I'm not going to be over 29. If I can be number 1 at 29, I better stay that as long as I can. But you still have to be somewhat smart. As you get older, sometimes you gotta be a little smart. I feel really good right now. You know why? Because I haven't went out and wrestled a guy like Chris Taylor for a long time. Chris Taylor weighed 450 pounds. You don't weigh 450, but I'm not taking you on. Because you got, because you're way more than me now. But I used to take on everybody. Everybody. And I'm not the only guy that could probably go with Chris Taylor, who was weighed 450. Young guys probably don't remember him, but he was, if you go to Hilton, remember, he was, you see a big poster of him. And one time in Russia, I was with him in 1971, and I was rooming with him. The rooms were about this big, 2 little beds, middle of the night, crash. His bed went right to the floor. He goes, Gable, your bed good? I goes, yeah. He goes, I want you on the floor, I want your bed. So I said, because I didn't, what the heck. So the next day I won the tournament. He didn't, but he did pretty good. You know why he did? Because he walked into the arena. As he walked into the arena, there was 10,000 Russians watching. This is Tbilisi, Georgia. And when he hit the mat, we were doing warm-ups. Americans were funny guys in Russia because we're in Georgia, because they don't warm up in front of the public. So we came out on the mat, and as we first walked in there, when Chris Taylor just walked into the arena, all of a sudden it was a gasp. They were waiting to see him, because they don't have anybody that big. But what he first did was a somersault, and he did a really nice somersault. It came right to his feet. The whole place was up for grabs. So all of a sudden we had to kind of get off the mat and go behind the scenes to warm up, just because they couldn't get over Chris Taylor. And they love the wrestling. They love their wrestling. In fact, they appreciated me a lot, even. I mean, not to the point they wouldn't still cheat to win, because they did. They gave me only a 7-minute match instead of a 9-minute match. They cut 2 minutes off one of the periods just because the guy the score just went 4-3 favor of him. And the clock was only behind, the only little clocks behind the table. And so, but we had a stopwatch in our corner. The guy, actually it was Myron Roderick from Oklahoma State, that was keeping track of the time. It was 1 minute in the third period, and it was a battle, pretty good Russian. And as soon as he got ahead of me, a little dong, ding, because they had a little dong behind there that was when you stopped the period too. And so our guy went over with stopwatch, and he's showing him that there's 2 minutes left in this period. But no. Our stopwatch shows 3 minutes. So, I lost. Ended up getting second. He went to the Worlds that year. He wasn't the best wrestler, but they sent him anyway. I beat him in not a legitimate place, because it was in Bulgaria, but I beat him pretty handily in the first round. But it's pretty amazing that what you deal with internationally. It's just pretty amazing. But you know what? That was a great lesson for me. The lesson was, don't ever get behind. In Olympic wrestling, don't ever get behind, because they can stop the match anytime they want, and the match is over. That same year in '72, if you ever watched you guys went to see the basketball game that time. I know '72 was a long time ago, but you may have heard of it. The United States won 2 or 3 times the actual game, and they took it back 3 times. So the Russians got ahead to win in the overtime or something. I don't know, anybody remember that? Heard about it? Yeah, see, they got some people that actually study history here. There's nobody that was around in '72, I know that. But that was, we got behind, So I made sure that from then on, Worlds, Olympic Games, go to the Olympics, I'll score your opponents 29 to nothing and pin 3 guys, but nobody scored on you. Then you're going to win. Then you're going to win. Then you're going to dominate. And that's kind of the story of my life, domination. When you actually try to set goals so high that, and then you try to find higher ones, and just so on and so forth, it's just usually get pretty good. And see, what happens is these kids win a state championship sometimes in 9th grade. I started 10th grade just because that was the rules at that time. And college, 3 years eligibility too. But so, you know, it's 9th grade, we get some kids to win it. They win state championship in 9th grade. Or when I was there, I was 10th grade. So, but the thing was, I had a pretty tough match. 10th grade finals. Got out of position 1 second, and all of a sudden I got, boom, he hit me, but I reversed him back, ended up winning. But, so the guy was a sophomore too, so the next year, you know, we're gonna meet again, we're up away, and this time I had no problem with it. Had no problem with it. Then we wrestled him again, I had no problem with it. The reason why is because, you know, in all those months between end of February, March, April, May, June, July, August, this guy was getting ready. This guy was getting ready to go again. In fact, there's a chapter in there by one of my teammates. So it's a week after, you know, if you ever get tired of listening to me, tell me. But, because I sometimes get carried away. So it was a week after the state tournament, my sophomore year. Actually, it was my sophomore year. And our high school went to the basketball state championship finals. So a bunch of guys come over to my house, a bunch of wrestlers, and all of a sudden we're watching our high school, West Waterloo, in the state finals. And all of a sudden, about after the first quarter, they hear a bunch of noise. We had a bunch of guys, and they hear a bunch of noise in the back. It was me. I was back there doing push-ups. But I don't know what else I was doing, but I was grunting and groaning. And one of the guys just said, "Would you shut up, go downstairs to work out? We're trying to watch the basketball game." So I went downstairs. That's where I spent the rest of the basketball game, working out. And I remember when I walked out of the room to go downstairs, they looked at me, "What are you doing? You just won the state championships. You never lost a match this year." I said, "I'm getting ready for Daily." This is the guy. Maybe he was gonna give me a go or something like that. You know, just always thinking. But anyway, I had some really good friends in high school. They knew I was fanatical. They knew, even the coach knew, they gave me a key. You can't do that anymore. You can't go over to school anymore. You know, but back in the old days, there was a lot of good things you could do. And my teammates respected me, took care of me, but you know, they actually, I shouldn't say this, but they taught me two things, my teammates. Shouldn't tell you. Girls was one. You know, and they also showed alcohol, which is not so good. These guys were a little crazy back then, you know, trying to give me to drink beer, stuff like that early on. You know, maybe I did it twice a year. I should. But maybe I did. Maybe I didn't either, I'm not going to tell you the truth. I'm just going to keep thinking. But if I ever had confidence and needed it for girls, that was that beer that, you know. But anyway, so don't do it. But anyway, I don't know if anybody else in here can ever say they ever did something like that before. Anybody in here ever want to admit? Nobody's admitting. I love it. Never admit it. Never admit it. It's great. I love it. It's the kind of guys I want. Stick together, true leaders, team. So anyway, so this book, family, G-rated, profession, wrestling and as an athlete, coaching, lots of great stuff about my kids, my family, my sister. This book, thicker, takes 4 hours, 3 hours instead of 2 hours. In depth, PG instead of G. There is extraordinaries, kind of wouldn't happen today. First celebration party. First time I ever winning the national championship. 1975, I was assistant coach, so I wasn't in charge. I was assistant coach. The whole school got invited to went out in the country in a farm, in a big field. All the big beer trucks came out, big kegs of beer, 110 kegs. Don't say nothing. Keep that down. ROTC airplane flies over. Big celebration sign behind it. Congratulations, 1975 National Wrestling Champions. Man, that was cool. That was cool. So all of a sudden somebody goes, look. Like what? People are jumping on a plane. They're jumping on a board. They're helicoptering in. Parachuting, excuse me. This is where this PG gets a little bit. All of a sudden, 10,000 people are looking up. Wow, that's unbelievable. Look at these guys jumping out of that plane. A great plane. They only got long shirts on. So remember that day you called streaking or something? That was about those years. So these guys were jumping out with just long shirts on. But it wasn't just guys. So it was quite a spectacle. And that's where we go to PG. Is that okay? Everybody okay? That ain't gonna happen again today. If you want to try to get a key to your high school as a kid, you're gonna have to go to a lawyer. You're gonna have all the principals. Everybody's gonna have to sign off on it, and then you're probably not gonna get it. You're just not gonna get it. Things have changed. So anyway, got book 1. Book 2, I don't know, do we have both of them or not? Okay. And I took some crap today about book 2, even though every review has been 5 stars, which is the most you can get. It's not many wrestlers, I don't think, are people. It takes a while to send a review, and you gotta join a bunch of stuff you don't like to join, because then if you join it, then you get about all these things come through on your computers. What? I don't want that stuff. You got to erase it and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have too many of them on there. But you know, it's like there is a chapter. I'll give you a chapter. I took some crap today. So there's a chapter that says Cartered, Bushed, Trumped, and the IOC. That's one of the chapters. And it's a pretty good chapter. It really is. Doesn't go out on a limb, doesn't tell anything negative about Bush, doesn't talk anything negative about Carter, who we didn't get to go to the 1980 Olympic Games because of Afghanistan. And then they didn't come to our 84 Olympic Games, so it took 8 years away basically from Olympic Games of really good, true competition. And then trumped. And basically all it says is, jury's out. I didn't say anything except he'll be rated about when he's done. You know, they always ask me about recruits. I said, wait till they leave. Then I'll know how good they are. How good are your recruits? I don't know. 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, how long they stay? If they stay and wrestle for club and then win world or Olympic titles, hey, they're pretty good. But let me wait. I'm not going to give you that before they do it. So it's the same way, you know, some way at the regime right now. I mean, people are upset about this, they're upset about that. You know, could happen. You know, we just see what happens. See what happens. What happened?
Oh, I don't know. There's an Amber Alert.
What's that? As long as there's no tornado coming right through here. I mean, 6 months ago, I just bought a place in Florida, in Naples. I haven't even been there yet. I went down about a month ago. So at least we got to use it once. No, it's actually turned out pretty good. But now they got another one coming, but I don't know where it's not headed yet. Crazy, crazy. Oh, I've got books here. Got books here. I got bookmarkers here. It's called, this is a little bit more of a business type thing if somebody was business oriented. It's called Gable Training Principles, 22 of them. And you can use it as a bookmarker. And so that reminds me of my book. 1964, let's see, when was it? States in February. So it's in, I think, the 1st of April. Guy comes to our high school and he gives an assembly, talks for about 45 minutes. His name was Bob Richards, first person ever on the Wheaties box. Pole vault Olympic champion, also a minister. Preaches a great way of life. So I was there in school, and the whole school had to go to it. And then afterwards, I bought his book, and this is it right here. You know what? I used it. So I used it. And actually, once you get into it, as they mostly fall apart, you can see that I underlined it, highlighted it, and the whole book's like that. For me to understand, to read, for me to give speeches by, so on and so forth, but it came at a good time in my life. It came at a very good time in my life. Because, I just won a state championship, was undefeated, and I learned about how people win the Olympic Games through just desire, guts, determination. He talks about a great way of living. He's a minister. And so about a month later, after I got this, I was reading, I was enjoying it. One day I get up, I walk to school. It's the first time I ever had a kid in my neighborhood. I was walking to school with him. This is my last. We can be here all day, night, tomorrow. 4 times I've spoken for 4 hours, so don't do that. So I walked to school with this kid, and I knew who he was because he was in my homeroom, even though he was a lot older than me. He had been set back a few years. And he, all of a sudden, oh, that's all right. I don't get distracted. So I'm walking with the kid, and he starts talking to me about some things. I'm kind of looking at him, and I just blow it off. I never really had walked to school with him. He just, because he said, hey, you look like, how do you feel coming off of, see where you did really well in wrestling? And I just kind of, I was kind of a shy guy. But he mentioned something about my sister. I had a sister that was 4 years older than me. And he mentioned something about her, and it wasn't good, it was negative, but I didn't say anything. And so I got this book in April. So on May 31st, May 31st, this guy kills my sister. Killed her. He was probably 60. He was our neighbor, but I didn't really know him. But he'd come from a home that, like, where kids can have to go to when you get in trouble. And then, but he had got out of that, so he was now in a couple years, really he was. So anyway, he just lived down the street about the block, and you know what? I should have reacted on that conversation that he had with me. She might be alive. It's called communication. It's mentors, simplicity, communication. It's just certain principles you learn in life. I'll tell you what, I've done a lot with my athletes. I've done a lot with my 4 daughters. Done a lot with my wife. A lot of communications helped me a lot. I don't like this after the fact stuff. And again, it teaches you a lesson. this book, actually, I went to this book for help, and I found help in this book. And so anyway, adversity is going to happen in your life, but you have to take it on, really do. Easier said than done, but you really have to take it on. I used to say, either take it on or it takes you on, and now I say there's no or in adversity, because there's really only one decision, one choice. There's not a choice, it's just to take it on. And again, it doesn't happen. It doesn't, I don't, all these 22, there's no patience in it. I don't have a lot of patience, I'm gonna tell you. But I learned patience. And that's one of the traits that a mentor, when I first became a coach, Gary Kurtelmacher, I was assistant coach. He says, when are we going to win the Nationals, Gable? I said, I'm going to win them this year. Think I'm going to say anything else? My wife, that's the way, you can't say, a couple of years. But he was more of a realist, I was more of an idealist. And he said, well, I think 5 years. And he said that, and I looked at him like he's nuts. But I said, 1 year. And he said, oh, you got to have some patience. And I don't have patience. But he did teach me that, you just don't know when it's going to happen. But it might not happen as quickly as you like, but you got to keep going. You got to stay with that. And so third year, we actually won the national title. So right in the middle, he was wrong and I was wrong. I learned something from him, he learned something from me. But I didn't put it in there because even though I don't like it, you still have to have it a little bit. But it's not worth mentioning because you don't want anybody to think that you're actually waiting around to win or waiting around. I got a kid in front of me in the lineup. Oh, he's going to graduate next year. I get to go in. I'm not going to wait around for that kid. I'm going to beat that kid out right now. I don't care who he is. If I have any other attitude, I'm going to lose day-to-day training mentality. I'm going to work hard with that. So anyway, so this book meant a lot to me. And hopefully you guys get something out of these books. They're short stories. Unbelievable amount of learning in there for me even. Because the first one, I learned a lot about my family. And the reason why is because there was issues. I had some adversity. I didn't know when I was 48 years old, when I stepped down as the head wrestling coach at Iowa, that I had a daughter that was 8 or 9 years old, 6 years younger than everybody else, that I rocked her world because her dad was no longer the coach. I didn't know that till I read this book when they interviewed her. She didn't understand it either, but we had issues. But all of a sudden, when we read this chapter, we both solved some of the issues that we were having. And not that it was bad, it's just that she wouldn't communicate hardly ever at home. It hit her really hard. Her dad's no longer the coach. They were having so much fun. I mean, how could you not have much fun? Winning 15 national titles, 25 Big Ten titles in a row. And then there was, 3 before I got in there, or 2 before I got in there, and then 2 after national titles. I mean, winning's a lot of fun. What's unbelievable is my wife said I never smiled until I stopped coaching. I just can't believe that. Then I started thinking about what I do. I go into a room like this, and this is my team, and half of you are going to get beat up today, and the other half are going to win. Chances are. So 50% of you guys are going to leave upset. So what do you think I'm going to leave? I'm going to take on both. So I go home, my wife and 4 daughters, and they never saw me smile because I didn't come home in a happy situation. It's like just neutral. But I know better than that. I know better than that. So anyway, let's open it up to any questions that you might want to ask me, because otherwise I'll just keep talking.
You were talking about setting goals earlier. What kind of goals do you have for the balance of your life?
Oh wow, that's a great one, because people always ask me what was the greatest thing that ever happened to you, and I said that's in the future. It's in the future. Whatever it may be. I tell you, I'm sure somebody else has been married longer, but I beat some odds, didn't I? Did I beat some odds or not? What's the, is there an average nowadays? I don't know. But I know that, God, I like my wife. Fuck, I love her. But it's amazing that I have to work harder at it today than I did even when I was younger. I should have probably worked at it harder then too. Just I think some things, crazy things went on in my life, but that's what happens, you know. And I really think that my goal is to keep affecting people in such a positive way that I can keep reaching out to people in the mega people to be able to help so we can survive better in the world. I mean, so we don't have to worry about who's going to shoot you or who's going to throw acid in your face, or, you know. And here's the thing. I don't believe in luck, but I do believe that I was lucky because of where I was born and who I was born into, and a good family. Because my mom and dad sent me, and I say this a lot, to wrestling camp. If you're born in Syria, there's a good chance you're going to go to terrorist camp. So just think about that. And that's that environment. There's no excuses. But I do feel lucky because not only mom and dad and sister and the YMCA early on, but also really good coaches I was involved with. I mean, Bob Sims, Harold Nichols, Bill Farrell, Doug Blueball. I mean, I had the best. And so that's kind of where I feel a little bit lucky. But I created some of that luck by being able to be in that atmosphere, you know, winning state championships, and being able to go to Iowa State University, and then be able to go to and wrestle at the world championship level. You get the cream of the crop, the guys that are pretty much in there at the high level. So you kind of make your own breaks too, and that's really important. But anyway, I don't know if you get my flow there. I can talk on that. Yeah, way back there.
Coach, are you going to work with some more D1 teams to bring college wrestling back? Are there any imminent ones in the near future? And God, we'd love to see Drake right in our backyard bring D1 wrestling back. Any comments about that?
Yeah, how did you drop D1 program in Iowa? One of my really good Drake wrestlers, one of my best friends, his name is Mike Duro, Charles City. Just within the last week, found out he had some bad cancer. Already had a brain operation. Removed it, couldn't get it all. Still waiting right now to hear just what the next treatment's going to be and just how bad it is. But when you said that, Drake. So I met with Drake a few times, but the AD, well, actually was a lady. Her husband was a wrestler coach, or a wrestler. And I didn't get too far with that. She just stepped down now, I believe. They're getting hired a new one. It's, you know, it's really hard to get people to add things. We're working on a few, you know, but we're staying pretty level right now. And one of the biggest things we're doing, and Iowa is behind on two things. Gosh, I'm not even gonna get to the books tonight. Iowa's behind on two things. One, we're behind on the girl wrestling, female. You know why? Because we have a boys association and a girls association. We're the only state in the union, or whatever you want to call it, that doesn't have a boys and girls state athletic association. We're separate, and because we're separate, we're in a battle. You know, it's like Republicans and Democrats. You just can't agree because there's certain philosophies. And so, like right now, I think we would make some progress with the female, but we can't make progress because there's two sides instead of one place. I know we went up from 58 to 92 last season in numbers of girls that have to wrestle boys. But there's 8 states that do have girls state championships, girls against girls, and that's what we got to get. We're pretty stable at the high level, the Olympic level, but we're not as much at the high school level. But Iowa is one of the slower states of getting our act together. because there's too much I mean, I don't know exactly for sure how it works, but all I hear is, I hear rumors, and so the rumor was like, okay, to get together, to go to the state tournament, so we have a girls and a boys state tournament at the same time, we got the #1 state tournament in the land. And so how can 50% go one way and 50% go the other? I mean, it can't, and it won't. So there's got to be some negotiating there, as far as finances and stuff like that. I mean, that's just, it won't work. That's what we're battling right now, but I don't know what else I was going to say. Two things I forgot. What was the question?
2 things we're behind in Iowa.
Two things?
You said 2 things that we're behind in Iowa. That was one.
Well, we don't have enough population. We're gaining them, believe it or not. I found out today, some guy, because I said today that we had 2.85 million people. I hadn't looked for about 7 years. And we're up to 3.1, so hey, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. And I stood corrected there. I thought it was. We're dealing with Pennsylvania, we're dealing with Ohio, we're dealing with New York, we're dealing with New Jersey, and we've got millions of people. And that's where Ohio State, and they always come to Iowa. They come to Iowa State. They come to the University of Iowa. They take them, and they go out there and they do well. And that's okay. But we're battling that. And one thing I really like, I don't remember the second one, but one thing I really like is the fact that we're doing something about it. Iowa State just hired. We're not happy with 1 point. We're not happy with 1 point. In fact, I don't think they had any points back. They had scored 1 point at the Nationals, and then I guess we don't have that point back. But with 4 people that are proven, pretty much proven, I don't know if they really like the big thing is with the Hawkeyes settle into the Cyclones plan, and I think they already have. Because I think what it is there's a little town called Iowa City that has a twin pair of brothers that make a lot of people mad sometimes. I shouldn't say that, but somehow they do. They're ornery, and they're really nice guys, but you would never know it. You didn't really know the inside. So in fact, I just walked in his office the other day, and I know he can be a nasty guy, man. He was yelling, not at me, but he was yelling at every coach there was. And he was just really mad at him for some reason. But he didn't, I'm not going to tell you what he said. Anyway, I think we really got we have a good thing looking to the future right now. Drake, yeah, we need some more. We're working on Montana State right now, but it's tough. I mean, some people are so ridiculous. Some people who you think you might have an in with put out such a ridiculous figure to start a wrestling program that you just can't do it. When you think they actually when you had wrestling ties before. So you find a place that had a wrestling guy, and he goes, yeah, give me 50 million, I'll start it. 50 million? This other guy goes, give me 20 million. Come on, we might go get you 4 or 5 million, but be crazy. One thing that has worked pretty good is if you can find a guy that actually says, hey, yeah, if you start a wrestling program, I'll give equal amount of money to the female side. You don't find too many of those, because it pretty much got to be billionaires. But we have. When we got kicked out of the Olympics for 6 months, which we really didn't get kicked out. I mean, we did, but we got back in before the Olympics came around. Some people came out of the woodwork that's helped us and has continued to help us. So we do have access to 4 or 5 billionaires. That's making a little bit of a difference. I should say a lot of difference. Even though money can't buy you championships, it's certainly nice to be able to work your way into the systems. Guy got enough money, give it to this side and add wrestling, or keep wrestling. Yes.
How do you want to be remembered?
You remembered?
Yes.
As an author,
I
right?
never want to be forgotten. Sorry. That's why I'm doing this. I mean, my wife, you saw my wife today, she thought I was nuts. Because I'm going crazy right now, but I love doing this because I'm promoting what I love. And she's behind me. Otherwise I wouldn't have went today. She just actually texted me. And maroon Cadillac, Amber Lewis. Anyway, she just texted me and gave me my grandson's results on the football game today. 44-8. Could have been 100-0. But, and he's a good football player. He's a good baseball player. But he wrestles like 6 weeks a year. So, you know, if he sticks with it, he'll be okay in wrestling. Of course, his name is Gable. First name. That's the oldest one. We got 8 grandsons now and 4 granddaughters. So I have 4 daughters, now it's even, 8 and 8. So, but he's, you know, but he's, my wife just said, oh, I forgot about texting you the score. Gable just scored. That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear. Just keeps going, keep tackling.
Coach, I have a question for you. If you were still in the coaching profession, would you find it more difficult to recruit kids today? Is it just because of the generation? Are there as many tough, dedicated kids that will wrestle, or is it more difficult to find those now?
Actually, why I'm here is exactly why why I'm here is to make sure you understand the value of wrestling. The value of wrestling is the #1 sport for disciplines. That's what you have to have, the number of disciplines. Every sport you have to be tough and disciplined, but wrestling has more disciplines that you have to conquer than any sport. And that's why it's tough. That's why they eliminate it. That's why sometimes people don't have enough wrestlers, because we're kind of, we got to have the military. So we need wrestling, not just for the military, just because we need people that represent sometimes going outside and chopping the forest down with a hatchet or an axe instead of just a chainsaw. You know, a chainsaw is going to run out of gas, but my work ethic is not going to run out of gas. But so, you know, yeah, and that's why we need to work at it harder. We need people that are in it. And do I accept it that it's going in the wrong direction? No, I don't, because somebody told me the other day that museums don't make it very well. You know, they're hard to make it, museums. I got one in Waterloo, which I would have probably rather had them just put up a big sign, home of Dan Gable in Waterloo or something, but because I got to do so much work at that museum. But but it's like, I could be dead, you know? How much, you know, why do they keep calling me? I keep telling them I'm dead. But I'm not, so I gotta keep doing stuff. But this one guy just told me the other day, he goes, all museums are dead. They don't operate. I said, you know what? I want to make one that's not. I want it to be thriving. I want it to be, people want to come to it. I want to, you know, I want to beat the odds. I want to beat the odds. So wrestling's the same thing. We need wrestling. That doesn't mean we need to have wrestling where there's no action. We got to help ourselves. You know, sometimes we get so involved in the rules of techniques and tactics and that type of stuff that we come up with, and we did it again this year. But all it has to go back is that same old this. You call somebody for stalling, they're going to start wrestling, or they're not. So, you know, entertainment's very important. So that's why I wrote these books, for entertainment reasons besides, you know, informational. So I made sure that in this second one, who was a lot more in history in it, even though there's history, and I'm talking about Kerry Colott, who 3 times was up for the gold medal, and all of a sudden, after the match, they reversed his decision. And so so the guy today told me, they're crooked, and you know, I said, you know what? Kerry Colott, after the first time that he got shafted, should have realized why he got shafted and not let it happen twice and 3 times. Because he got shafted on the same thing. He stopped wrestling. When he was ahead by 1 point, he coasted to victory. So then when the match is close, 5-4, somebody can protest, and they can take it to a protest room at that time, and they can rescore it And they can, well, there's a lot of ifs and ands, you know? Because you gotta just expose your shoulder this way or that way. That's Olympic wrestling. If Kerry Cole would have shot and scored that takedown and won like he should have, 7-4, 8-4, he wouldn't have had any to protest because he couldn't have, you know, he would have won. He would have been probably a 2-time gold medalist instead of a, you know, a bronze medal or a silver medal, or didn't even get a medal or something like that. So that's kind of the way I think all the time. And, you know, you learn from your lessons. You don't keep making the same mistake over and over. I get pretty frank in there. Blame myself, blame somebody else. Give them a good lesson. So, anyway, anything else? Otherwise, all right, we're gonna go 2 more and then we gotta, yes, right here.
How have you remained so passionate about wrestling for so long in your life? You've given such a large portion of your life to the sport.
How much? Have you ever watched wrestling? Good wrestling? I mean, have you like, you know, you moved all over? I like that every time. You know, I just went to the World Championships in Paris. I didn't go, I wasn't going, but all of a sudden I said, God, I gotta go because we might make history. And I got there and we made history. It came down to the last match. Came down to Burroughs winning in the last 30 seconds. Came down to Snyder winning in the last 30 seconds against the #1 Russian. Of course, he went up a weight. And you know what? They're going from 10 weights, to 7 weights, to 6 weights. And now, in off Olympic years, we're gonna go, we went 8 this year, and we're gonna go 10 next year. But that's just World Championships, and the Olympics aren't doing it. But we gotta get so much more authority in our sport that we can actually get those 10 weights. And it's not gonna happen if people like me just turn it over and go into my grave and saying I'm retiring. You know, it's people that believe in things, and I believe in my wife and my family, and I believe in wrestling. And I'm not the Almighty. I believe in Him. Got to start somewhere. It's got to start somewhere. And if you don't have that faith, you better have it somewhere that's good, because a lot of people don't have that, and that's one of the issues. And I'm not going to be the guy that goes out and straighten that out. But if I can do some good, a lot of good, because you know what? There's not a, born into a family of 4, 3 of them were passed on. I'm still kicking. But now it's a family of 22 right now. That's just with my family. They're all doing pretty good. Gable just scored. But my family of wrestling, millions. So if I pull out, who's going to lead them? One less leader. And I love it. I knew when to pull out when I was 48 because I was done walking. And what do you mean by that? Well, bionic man. I used to be it when I was really good, but now it's because of artificial parts. But you know, from coaching, you don't have to do that too. There's new ways. It's just like back in the day when I had a key to the school. You train your athletes different now than you did back then. I don't put them on their back and walk them up Carver Hawkeye Arena 44 steps every practice after practice. Maybe just like every other practice. Well, you recover. You learn. And plus, I take their wrestling shoes off and put their good Nikes or Asics on. So then they got a little foam there, so they're not beating their joints up. So some of that beatness goes to the joints. I remember running this in junior high. I was running small wrestling room, and then we had this long hallway. When you weren't wrestling, you had to run the hallway in your wrestling shoes. You know, think of all the crap that you're picking up, putting on mats, because that's a big deal too. You got to, in our sport. And then think of all the pounding, all the days and nights. I did put my running shoes on. I went out and ran on the concrete out in the streets. You know, now I would be smarter than that. Even for my athletes. Longevity, a little bit more. But when I was coming through, drinking water was a sign of a lack of discipline. So I didn't get much practice in because it sat against the wall a lot because you were tired, because you didn't drink water. But that was 1966, 67. I think one time, 66, the first year, I think that they all said, water's good for you. Wow, drink it. So then all of a sudden, instead of sitting down half as much, I was wrestling more. Just think how good I could have been if I'd have known water was good for me earlier. I wouldn't be sitting against the wall as much and I'd been out wrestling. It's been damn good. Damn good. All right, I'm done. See you guys. I'm worn out.